Hello dear viewers, a very warm welcome to our channel. It's very good to have you here. In this video we are going to have a look at symptoms of a failing clutch system. Right here we see a mechanically operated clutch. The white one is the friction disc. You can see the connector spline, the torsional springs, the hub, and right here you see the friction material. Right here you see the friction material. The black part is the flywheel, and here we have the pressure plate. This is the pressure plate with the release lever, and the clutch cover is right here. And right here we have the release bearing. The release bearing is actually acting on these levers in order to disengage. When this is moving this way, the lever will be pushed in, and this end will pivot out, removing the pressure plate from the clutch. That way the clutch disc will be free. So this will be used in order to smoothly engage gears and start the vehicle in motion gradually. A failing or a bad clutch can cause several noticeable symptoms affecting vehicle performance and drivability. So let's have a look at some of the top symptoms indicating a problem either with this clutch mechanism or with the linkage that is going to activate this. Well, the first symptom is slipping clutch. A slipping clutch is when the clutch disc, which is supposed to be held and pressed between the pressure plate and the flywheel, starts to slip. If the engine revs but the car doesn't accelerate as expected, that indicates there is a slipping clutch. So when clutch is slipping, friction will be less, and due to low grip, power transmission from the flywheel to the transmission input will be reduced. So the number one indication of a bad clutch mechanism is slipping clutch. The other thing is when there is difficulty disengaging, when there is difficulty shifting gears. As we have said earlier, the clutch is there in order to facilitate gear shifting by disconnecting engine power flow to the transmission, but when that is somehow not functioning properly, that will make difficulty in gear shifting. The clutch has to fully interrupt power flow from the engine to the transmission. If that is not done properly, shifting gears will be difficult. So if you happen to face hard shifting or stiff gear shift, especially when trying to engage first gear or reverse gear, that is an indication of a failing clutch mechanism. The third symptom is when the clutch is not fully disengaging. When you apply the clutch pedal and the steel clutch is dragging, that will cause gear clash. When shifting, you happen to notice there is a gear clash, and the car may creep forward. Even though the clutch pedal has been depressed fully, you may notice the car may creep forward, and that is an indication of a clutch that is dragging. So grinding noise when shifting, when there is a gear clash, that also indicates a clutch disc that is dragging. When it comes to the clutch linkage, the fourth symptom is spongy or soft clutch pedal. The clutch pedal that is going to activate this release bearing through the clutch fork, it is either hydraulic or it is mechanical. When the pedal feels loose or when it sinks to the floor, that is what we call a spongy clutch pedal or soft clutch pedal. This is usually associated with hydraulic problem when the clutch is hydraulically operated and the hydraulic is not functioning properly, when there is air trapped in the system, for example, or when there is low fluid level, when there is fluid leakage, and that could cause the pedal to be spongy. And if it is a mechanical type, when there is a problem with the clearance adjustment and when there is a problem with the linkage, that will cause spongy pedal. The fifth indication of a failing clutch is a stiff or hard clutch pedal. When you depress the clutch pedal, there has to be some normal resistance, but if it is extremely difficult to press it down, when it requires excessive force to press, that is an indication of a problem. It could be caused by failing clutch cable when it is a mechanical type, or it could be caused by a problem with the pressure plate, problem associated to this linkage and pressure plate that can cause disengaging even harder. The sixth symptom of a bad clutch is burning smell. When there is a burning smell coming from this transmission clutch housing, a strong burning odor from excessive clutch slipping or excessive overheating can be an indication of a failing clutch mechanism. This usually happens when the pressure plate is not holding the clutch firmly against the flywheel, when there is something hindering the full force of the pressure plate from being exerted on the friction disc, that will cause a burning smell. This is very dangerous as it will overheat the clutch. It will ruin this friction material. This friction material, this asbestos material will wear out fast if there is a slipping clutch. Clutch chatter is another problem. So when clutch pedal is depressed, this release bearing, it has to push the levers and then disengage the clutch. Now, when there is some shaking or shuddering when engaging and disengaging, when engaging the clutch, this usually indicates some kind of warpage. It could be caused by a warping pressure plate, it could be caused by a warping flywheel, or it could be caused by some kind of misalignment. So if there is some excessively worn or warp component, that will cause vibration at the clutch pedal. So when you press the clutch pedal and you feel vibration, that usually indicates a worn out clutch disc or a warped flywheel or some kind of deformation on the pressure plate. The eighth symptom is related to unusual noise. When you happen to notice unusual noise while applying clutch, for example, you might hear a grinding noise, abnormal grinding noise. This could be related to worn out release bearing. This release bearing, when it is making extreme grinding noise, it could be an indication of wear. And when there is a faulty pilot bearing, the pilot bearing is actually the one that is fitted on the flywheel and on which the input shaft is supported. That could cause a squealing noise. Faulty pilot bearing or throw bearing can cause a squealing noise. And in some cases, you might also hear a rattling noise. This has to be with loose or damaged clutch components that will rattle as you try to apply the clutch. 9. High clutch bite point. High clutch bite point is when the clutch engages very close to the top. You depress the clutch pedal, immediately as you depress it, the clutch disengages. This is called high clutch bite point. This indicates excessive wear on the component. And the 10th symptom is low clutch bite point. This is when the clutch engages near the floor, suggesting hydraulic issue or air inside the system. You nearly floor it, we nearly floor the clutch pedal, and only then it will engage, and that will be an indication of a low clutch bite point. If the clutch pedal stays on the floor, once you depress the clutch pedal to disengage the clutch, and if it stays down there, that is also an indication of a problem. If the pedal doesn't return, this is often due to a broken clutch linkage for a mechanical type or due to hydraulic failure. It could be hydraulic leakage or excessive air trapped in the system. Then if the pedal remains low, that could be a problem also. In a hydraulic clutch mechanism, you could also face a fluid leak. There is a visible clutch fluid leak near the master cylinder or slave cylinder activating the clutch linkage. That could be also problematic. In some cases, the number 13 symptom is jerky acceleration. The car surges or jerks. As you slowly disengage the clutch, it has to set into motion gradually. But if there is some surge, if there is some jerking when releasing the clutch pedal, that indicates uneven wear on the clutch disc. When the clutch disc is worn, when there is some kind of abnormality, that will cause engage sometimes, disengage sometimes, so that will cause surging. And the other symptom of a bad clutch is when engine speed increases, engine is running at high speed, but the vehicle is not running. This is usually caused by either a problematic linkage adjustment that lifts pressure from the pressure plate, so that leading to clutch slip, or it could be caused by excessive loads that is beyond the carrying capacity of the vehicle itself. Clutch pedal vibration is another symptom of a clutch system trouble. When you depress the clutch pedal and you happen to notice there is a vibration at the pedal, this could indicate a problem with the release bearing. If it is a diaphragm type, problem with the diaphragm fingers, or if it is a lever type like this is a coil spring type clutch. When there is some irregularity between the levers, that could be causing clutch pedal to vibrate. So it is prone to vibration when there are some misalignments or some pressure plate or some plate misalignment issues are there. So these are some of the top symptoms that are exhibited by a failing clutch. If you notice any of these symptoms, then it is very good idea to have your clutch system inspected as soon as possible. Ignoring these symptoms can lead to complete clutch failure, making the car undrivable at some phase. So worn clutch may need replacement, so it has to be repaired as soon as possible. It might require replacement of the clutch disc, it might require repair of the clutch pressure plate, or it might require replacement of the release bearing, or in extreme cases, if the flywheel is damaged, it might require some reconditioning of the flywheel as well. So these are some of the problems that are associated with bad clutch and bad clutch mechanism. If you find this video helpful and if you like what has been presented, please smash the like button. If you are new to this channel, do subscribe, turn on notifications so that you will be the first to get notified whenever we come up with another video. Until then, stay safe.